Granny got Alzheimer's, but always say hi to Nana. If you dressing like a hoe, then please excuse my manners.
Greetings and prosperities. It's Lord Thaumiel, and Lord Thaumiel's The Podcast. I'm thrilled and honored to present to you actor, director, producer, writer, and etc., Mr. Lamont motherfucking Girdy. Lamont Girdy is multi-talented, but he's the CEO and founder of Film Foods Productions. What is the objective and the goals of Film Foods Productions?
Just to be able to create a platform for other directors, new directors and filmmakers to make online content and even submit things for like festivals and things like that. Since we are new, I have a bunch of things in the pipeline right now. I'm working on a web series. I started last year, but now I want to actually work with SAG for it.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of hiring a producer to help me out with that process. And then so after the web series is over, submit it to festivals, get our name out there, bring in more talent than what I already have on my docket, if you will. And I also have a few short films, a few other web series to work on, and even a feature that's in my head currently.
Nice. Now, how long have you been acting?
I want to say 2008.
2008, about 10 years almost.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Who are the actors growing up that inspired you?
Oh, wow. Who would I say inspired me? I would say Tom Cruise, because one of my favorite movies, still to this day, even I joke around with my mom, and there's about A Few Good Men. I love
Oh, yeah, that's what you can't handle the truth.
Did
you order the cold red?
Denzel, definitely. Recently, Idris Elba.
Yes.
Who else is just ridiculously talented that just like mind blows me? I'd say new. I'd probably say Childish Gambino.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and hire a lawyer to sue him because he has way too much talent.
Yeah.
So I think that he's actually probably taken that from other people. So
Yeah, he's a vampire.
Yeah.
He must have drunk.
He can do it.
Come or something when he was younger.
He can do everything. Bless him.
Donald Glover?
Yeah.
Yeah, very talented.
Bless him.
Keep it up, Childish Gambino. Supporter, When was it, or what triggered you to take acting seriously? What was the moment, or what were the things around you that said, you know what, I want to do this shit for real?
Let's see. It probably was more like the support of others. Like when I was in college, we did a few plays, and from people I either loosely knew or didn't know at all, and they would come up to me after and said that I did a really good job and they liked me. Also, one of the directors that I worked with when I was in Utica, her grandson came up to me. I had a very small role in the play, and it was like he was my favorite part of the play, and that spoke to me considering how small the role is I had in that play. And then just meeting different people after college and just being in the environment, doing background work, like I wanted to be in that environment. It was most alive I felt in a while.
Okay. Where did you study cinematography, and what do you like about it?
YouTube and just watching other people do their own work.
Okay.
From either just watching film or when I was doing background, I wasn't just paying attention to what the actors were doing. I was paying attention to what the whole production crew was doing. Watching where the camera people would set up their shots, try and understand their mindset of what lenses they were using for certain angles, and just like keenly listening to the director, writing down those notes, and then waiting for that episode to air to actually see how it looks from their eye.
Got you.
And then just doing it myself, and then doing horrible angles, and then learning better on what works and what doesn't.
Okay. So, What are your favorite roles, and how do you prepare to get into a character?
I would say comedy, and I'm trying to do more dramatic stuff. Um, I want to really do something like where I'm a villain.
Okay.
That seems that seems like that'd be fun. Um, in terms of what I do to get into a character, I try and really live that. So if I have a role where I am with somebody romantically, um, I try and like feel like how I would feel like with. So I would take my experience with the other relationships I've had, and I put it onto that, and then put on what would I do if I was in that current situation in the script, with on how I did with the girlfriends I've had in the past.
Okay.
If we were in that same situation, and it seemed to work so far.
Now, do you when you get your roles, are you one of those actors who stay into the role until the whole thing is finished, like 24 hours, or can you separate yourself from the character?
I can separate myself from the character. It all depends on the certain scene. Certain scenes and certain characters, it's easier for me to jump into, especially if that character is either remotely close to my personality naturally, or if it's a situation that I have some type of experience with. If they aren't, or I don't have any experience with, it'll take me a while to get into character before, but once I'm in, it will take a while to get back to where I am.
Okay. Heath Ledger syndrome. How and when did you get your first break into acting?
Let's see. I'm guessing like my first like semi big break would have been, I think it was either 2 or 3 years ago, when I got 2 off Broadway shows right off the bat, and had a pretty good crowd, and again more people who I didn't know came up to me and expressed how well I did and how enjoyable the whole experience of the show was, and it just motivated me more. And I would say it was more so the second off-Broadway show that I had with the director George Trim. He was trying to start this whole series. He wrote a book, he made a play, and I don't know if he's still doing the movie for it, but it was a great experience working with him and doing that.
Can you explain like the nerves and the whole experience the first time you performed?
It's weird. I've also done sports in high school and some college, and it's somewhat the same.
Okay.
That nerves before like a big event or meet, and then going on stage. It's butterflies, and for some people, I guess it makes you nervous, but for me, it kind of is like fuel.
Okay.
Because that moment before you step on stage, or if you step on to the track, I ran track, it's like a concentrated focus, because you're so internalized, and you stop being aware of everything around you. So if you're on stage, it's just that bright light, and then everything around you is dark, and then it snaps into focus, and then you're just there. And then in terms of like running, it's again, everything's quiet, you set up, you get down, and then boom, you go. And so it helps me focus, and it's like a nervous fuel, I want to say.
Yes.
So yeah, it just helps at least drive me forward. I don't know how it works for other people, but.
All right. So you basically you pressure feeds you.
Yes.
Pressure does the opposite effect what it does to most mundane people. That you call that a star. Can you explain the mindset and the determination needed to pursue your goals?
You have to be almost one-minded, just because there are a lot of obstacles that happen, and you also have to stop comparing yourself to other people, because there are some people who either are lucky and talented, or just lucky. And to make it in this business, and for the most part, most businesses, you have to be somewhat lucky. And a lot of people think that luck is this magical thing that has been gifted by the gods, but luck is given to people who put themselves in the right situation. So you have to be patient with it, because there are some people who will be able to find a great audition at the right time, submit at the right time, so they're able to be seen at a certain time slot, and the casting director loves them, and because they haven't seen someone who can do a similar performance earlier on, and then they become in love with that person, and that role can promote them, can push them into meeting a good agent or into a great situation. And so you just have to keep playing the numbers. And just stick with it, because there are going to be ups and downs. Like, even if you start off really high and get everything you want right away, there's going to eventually be a low point. But as long as you keep pushing with that same energy you had when you started, that low point's not going to last that long.
Okay. I want to talk about your younger years if we can.
Okay.
And I want to know, how was it growing up? And did you have a good support system around you?
Yeah, I had a very good support system, to the point where it was annoying. My mother was all about education and other things, mostly education. She tried to support me for like my extracurriculars, for sports and things like that, but her main focus was education. And the moment I was struggling with anything in school, mainly math, because I hate math and it was horrible, she would instantly either put me in some type of program to do that, or talk to a teacher for them to figure it out.
Did you go to the Saturday school in St. Raymond's High School? I had to go to that.
I did that a few times.
Yeah.
I also did a bunch. I did the Huntington Learning Center.
Yeah, me too. That was crazy in the summer.
I did Kumon. What else? I hated Kumon. Like, and it's funny because I think it is like Japanese orientated, and it's like one of the few things I hate about anything Japanese orientated. Other than that, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Because as a little kid, like some of the packets they give is like this thick, like every time, and I just look at it and I'd be like, why?
Yeah, you know, I want to play a little bit too. Shit.
But yeah, Mom always supported me for everything that I did. Plays that I went to, she'd make sure to get as many people as possible to get there, and she'd be supportive for almost all of my decisions. Even if she didn't like it at first, she would try and figure out a mindset, either a compromise between the two of us, or figure out a way how it would still benefit her in the long run.
I hear you. So have you always been ambitious as a youth, or did that transition happen as you got older?
I would say we got older, because other than math, as we stated before, most things came somewhat easy. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't have much of a drive to do a lot of things. Even things I enjoyed, for like sports, I could do certain things easier, and so I wouldn't work out in things for that stuff. So once I got into the higher levels, it became harder, and then I would lose interest in it, because then that meant I had to work for it. And same for school. I never really did my homework, because I could pass with like an 80 or 100 for quizzes and tests. So not doing like homework didn't really seem that big of a deal, because I can make up for it from listening in class and doing the schoolwork from there. So the motivation didn't come until afterwards, when getting hit with reality in the real world, that you actually do have to try for a lot of things. So yeah, the ambition definitely came later.
You sure the ambition didn't come when you had your first white woman? Because that inspired me, I'll tell you that much.
The Nubian queen?
Yeah. My albino Nubian queen. Did you have temptations as a youth? Was you tempted to do any drugs or join gangs or cut? And if you did, like, talk about that. Let me know how you eventually grew out of those situations.
In terms of gangs, not really, because of my family and their colorful past. They make sure that I stay away from that. So I think the way that they did that was to, even if they didn't understand it, they like let me, I want to say they cultivated some of my hobbies. So like I was into anime and stuff like that, so they pushed me off into that, and video games do that. To the point where I think like down the line my mom regretted the whole video game thing. And even I somewhat, because I realized it's a trap as an adult. Like you still play video games today, but you have to work to get the money to pay for the video games, but then you don't have the time to play the video games, and you're still buying the video games, and then it's
just addiction.
It's a horrible addiction. So technically I am doing drugs. But yeah, in terms of gangs and stuff like that, that didn't really, is not really a factor. I knew a lot of people in gangs, is still cool with them today, but it wasn't an interest really. And then in terms of drugs, I haven't dabbled in anything like super heavy. Marijuana, of course. I want to say I've tried a few other things. Shrooms once, but it was a bad trip because I didn't like read the instruction manual, so I didn't know that it didn't kick in like somewhat right away, and I had the horrible experience of going to see a 3D movie after eating it, and then I realized that it takes a few minutes for this to actually kick in, and it was a mess. I was crying, so I want to try it again in a nice controlled environment. Now that I know what happens. I hope my mother doesn't watch this, but I tried cocaine once because it was my friend's birthday and I wasn't going to see her for a while. It was the last time she was going to be celebrating her birthday that I knew of in New York before she went back to Pittsburgh. Yeah. She's currently still there.
That place is so fucking far for it to be Pennsylvania. That shit's like 20 hours away, like 10 hours away.
The toll getting there was like over like $30. It was ridiculous. But yeah, so her last birthday celebration in New York City a few years back, I tried it, a few bumps, didn't like it because I already smoked, drank, and I was at that nice equilibrium of being really nice, of that high and drunk. It was good. Yeah. And even though technically I wasn't sober, it made me feel sober, and I couldn't get back to that point, and I had to mentally tell myself I had to stop smoking and drinking because I was probably going to get alcohol poisoning because I couldn't physically get back to where I was. It made me angry.
yeah, definitely. I'm not an upper person. To me, cocaine is good if you're really getting drunk and shit, and you're like at that fucked up point.
And then you have to like probably do something after.
Yeah, and you got to go home. Like you go to Co-op City, you take that bump, and keeps you up for the ride.
Yeah, so that did help me get back home.
But yeah, I agree with you. It totally.
I'll never do it again.
It totally fucks. It's like drinking coffee. It's like, no, I want to feel euphoric. I don't want to be up. Now I want to wash dishes and put the socks together. And then
I learned, and then it was a whole stupid experience. I learned so much about coke a little bit after that. Like, first of all, I didn't know where she got it from, so I didn't know the dealer. If you're going to do cocaine, like, I don't suggest doing it. Yeah. You need to know your dealer because you don't know who cuts the thing, and then you can get a bad bag.
Be sniffing asbestos. You don't want that.
So, yeah. So in terms of drugs, I'll stick with my alcohol and marijuana. So the weed, the ganja, the Mary Jane,
yes,
all that good stuff.
Now we can. I would like to get a little, intimate. As far as I have a younger brother at 14 years old, and it's hard because they're teenagers and they go through that, transition of puberty and thinking they know what's the best thing to be grown or whatever. So if you could talk about your family for a minute. Mm-hmm. Has what happened to your father motivated you, inspired you to stay on the right path? Because most kids, they have bullshit gangsters in their family and it keeps them in this middle path of fuckery. Yeah. But when you have the realness, like you say, even with your mom's and your mother's family, it's like, no, you're going to do this, and and I could see like in your DNA, you're really cool. Like you don't really have, you're good in your skin. You're comfortable in your skin. So did that tragedy help you stay on the right road, or was it just more of your family?
I would say it was more of my family. Because like after that tragedy, I would say I was pretty much, if I was coasting before, I was coasting even more after that.
How old were you?
I was 13.
Your father passed
12,
away?
13, yeah.
How old are you?
I am 27 now. I almost forgot.
I thought it happened before you was born. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh wow, so you was in the mix of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I told you. I don't know why, cause we was fucked up that day. But I remember you broke it down to me real quick. Never forgot it. And then like 10 years later, he was like, "You ever heard of BMF?" I was like, "Yeah, I heard of BMF." He was like, "Yeah, them niggas got it." So, bro, I'm sitting on the couch, smoking weed, and somebody sent me the Goons of the Industry. I don't know if you've ever seen this shit, Lamont.
I think I have.
And I'm smoking, and it's like 4 or 5 sections. So they'll start with, like, say, King Tut, and niggas that shot Pac and robbed Pac and shit. And then it got to Diddy, and it got to an individual named Wolf. And through Wolf, I see your name. I see your name. So I'm like, wait a minute. No. And then they show a picture of your pops that you look exactly like. So as soon as I'm seeing this, I'm hearing your voice, be back in 420 in my building, and I'm like, yo, this shit is real, like he wasn't bullshitting. And like I said, you meet a lot of people, and there's a lot of people, we all have, brothers and sisters and associates that, put in work and all that. But it's rare when you get those real people, and all I could say, I never met your father, whatever, but he seemed like a real loyal motherfucker, maybe to a fault,
Definitely.
But I see that's in your bloodline too. You're not a bullshitter, and
Unfortunately.
So, I just wanted for the youth out there, this is a son of a phenomenal woman and a gangster father, and you see he's comfortable in his skin, he's pursuing things, he's ambitious, and he has goals. This is what real people do. So, you young people out there, get your shit together, figure out what you want to do, and work hard and accomplish it. There is no failure if you put your all in, So, you went to St. Raymond's, correct?
Yeah.
The Ravens. How was that? Did you experience anything weird with the Monsignor?
No.
Okay.
The only weird thing that happened, but it was mainly just jokes between us, because I'm not Catholic. And they kept asking me to go into confession and stuff like that, and then I was like, nah. But no,
I don't need no immunity, I'm not facing no charges.
Luckily, there were no scandals during my 4 years and things like that. There is a rumor going on for something that happened a little bit after we left, and I don't know the validity of it.
Yeah, my cousin, he graduated. Damn, I don't even know. I think he's 22, so maybe he graduated 3 years ago. And something came out about the Monsignor that he was, doing what they do best. And,
blessing the young youth.
Yes, on their knees. But being a St. Ray's Raven, how did you realize the experience while you was in it, or did you graduate and then look back and was like, wow, that was a cool experience, and it prepared me? Or do you feel that it prepared you?
I feel it prepared me. I had a lot of fun there. I learned a lot there. The teachers that they have there are amazing. To this day, I still am in contact with a few of the teachers. And I visit every now and then. And I can't recommend that school enough. I had both of my little cousins go there. One of them who just graduated, he didn't graduate there because he eventually moved to Texas, but my other little cousin, he's currently enrolled in St. Raymond's. It's a great school. They actually do care, because I've been to a few schools where they say that they care, and really only a few teachers actually give a damn.
They got paid. Once the check is clear,
but yeah,
And it's a closed environment, so it's more intimate.
Yeah.
Being that, I think they built 3 floors now in that motherfucker.
Yeah, it pissed me off because that school was good when I went there, but it looks amazing now, and they have so many more programs, and it really pisses me off.
Now, I always go to the summer programs. I didn't know. I was like, this is a high school. It's a hallway. It's a long hallway. But yeah, finally they putting all that tuition money to good use. So from high school, where did you go from high school?
I went to Utica College.
That's a SUNY school?
No, a private school.
Okay.
Private.
How many semesters did you do that for?
2.
2. How was that college experience like?
It was pretty good.
Did you catch the clap
no,
anytime?
No. I was safe. I was the safest. But I want to say that I don't know if this is just because I went to St. Raymond's or the type of school that I went to. In terms of like workload, high school was harder, I want to say.
Yeah.
I heard from a few people that it's almost universal that they feel like that. Like high school is harder than college. It's just that the hard thing about college is the management of time, because you have a lot of freedom in college. Like almost criminal how much freedom you have, and then you still have to get certain things done. Like I procrastinated so much on few projects in college, where it was a ton of papers, and I did it literally like the hour before and still got a really good grade on it. And I don't think I would have been able to do that in high school. But yeah, college, I feel like it's more to prepare you for how real life is, because when you're an adult, you really don't have somebody like on top of you like you have in high school to do certain things. You just have to get shit done. And if you don't get it done, then it's not going to get done, and then you won't be successful or productive. I learned a lot there in terms of life lessons, and I met a lot of great people, and I feel like that's pretty much the whole reason of college, to meet good people, good contacts, and also to learn a few things.
Were you pursued by any fraternities?
A few.
And why didn't you mess with that?
Wasn't really my thing. Like I played around with the idea for 2 of the fraternities, but
Not hazing me.
I just like understand the brotherhood of it and like the benefits that it brings.
But you could do it on your own.
Yeah, it just wasn't really my thing.
Yeah. I got up. I don't know if you ever heard the Fraternity of the Feather. Damon Dash and a couple niggas is in that, and I think it's just tribalism. Like sometimes people just want to be a part of something, and a lot of the people, to me, it's just like 20 insecure people with a leader who's half insecure, and he imposes his will on the weak. And once you have once they see somebody they see the aura of a leader, they're gonna try to tear you down. And then when I seen it, I said, well, if I'm really this person, if you want me to be a candidate because you think I fit what I need, then I can do that on my own without being embarrassed and, you trying to take my bitch and smack me with a fish and all that dumb shit. It had some shit. They had like a big ass log, and all the, I guess, prospects, whatever you call them, they had to carry the log, and they was beating them and shit. And I was like, we niggas. What about we insinuating slavery for? But I don't knock people who's in fraternities. I have a cousin that's in a frat. Everything is not for everybody, and if you do pursue it, it's cool. I was thinking about the Masons, but by the time the Masons come to me, I probably won't even want the opportunity. I'm not trying to be 35 and going through rankings and all that shit. But now from, what was the school you went to again?
Utica.
Utica. Now you did 2 semesters in Utica, and you came back to the city?
Yeah.
Okay, and what was your mind state then?
I was going to go to a local college, work, and just focus on acting. But then I got a pretty good job opportunity at the time. Did that while I was still doing acting classes at the acting studio with James Price, really good teacher. And then the opportunities for the job kept coming up, and then I focused a lot on that, but I still wanted to act. And then I got to the point where I realized that I wasn't doing any more acting. I was just doing the job. And I think I was just doing that for, maybe like 2 years, maybe, I want to say. And I eventually had to leave because I wasn't getting any acting done at all. And that was the whole point of me coming back home to do that, and I wasn't doing it.
So what is your favorite part of the art of acting? Are you more of the actor, or do you like being behind the camera and producing and directing?
I want to say both. I get a certain amount of pleasure of doing both, like writing a script or just like a concept of a world, and then working with somebody else to help make it into an actual script is very fun. And then you get to see it grow from just an idea that was in your head, and then a collaboration with another person, if you do that, and then to actually see it live is amazing. And then also there are times where I don't want to be behind the camera. I don't want to edit. I don't want to do any of that. And just being able to act and look at me in another person's skin is amazing, as opposed to having all hands on deck. Like, there's a different pleasure that I get from both. I don't know which one I prefer more, because there are some times where, like, this is bad, but I don't like giving away all of the power. I like having it to be able to control the way I want my world to go. Like, I'll take suggestions and I will honestly put it into consideration, and sometimes I'll even change it based on those suggestions, but I just like having like the final say for that thing. And then other times, like, I just like being an actor, not doing all the other stuff, not have to worry about all that other thing.
Now, how many scripts do you have?
Not counting the different episodes for the web series Extras, I'll just count that as one. I've got 4 others, so a total of 5. And ones that are actually complete, I would say out of those 5, 3 are complete.
Okay. So, with the Film Fools Productions, how did that come about? Was it you by yourself, or was it a conglomerate of people? And like, what sparked the idea?
I would say it was right after I left that the job that I had before, that I wasn't doing any acting in, and then one of the people who used to work at that job, he had a job opportunity which was overpaying me. I was doing my job, but they were paying me a lot, and they wanted to renegotiate my contract, which would pay me a whole lot less, and I didn't want to do that, so I got laid off, understandably. But I was able to save a good amount of money, and I started buying my own equipment. And I started talking to a few friends, and I wanted to start doing skits, make a YouTube channel to help start getting the ball rolling, because like I said, I stopped doing acting, and I wanted to, it was my way of like slowly getting back into it by creating my own stuff, along with auditioning. And so started doing a few horrible, like the skits ideas were good, but like the execution was horrible. The editing was rough. It was just a rough experience on the first few videos. And then I just took a step back, didn't really have a full name for it, didn't have a full logo. I think I went through like maybe 10 logos until I got to the one that I'm stuck on now.
I like that one, by the way.
Yeah.
I was peeping, I said, oh, maybe want to come up.
And then the name, sorry, I can't give you credit, because it was either 2 people who helped me with this name, either Jeriel or my friend Rob. I don't know who came up with the full concept, but we had a whole discussion on like coming up with a name, and Film Fools became the actual name for it. I liked it. It made sense, because we originally just wanted to just do all skits. And so that's how that got started. Even though I took some of the videos off, I kept some of them just to show the progress of how it went from this to that. And I'm proud to say that like the quality of my videos have gone up significantly from those first few videos.
Right. You know, as long as you see some progression, you know you're doing the right thing. Now, do you sit down with your team and write things together, or it's a little bit of individualism and y'all come together and look, I got this, and add on and stuff?
It's mostly individualism. Sometimes we do come together and come up with certain ideas. They'll throw skit ideas at me, or we'll work out some. But for the most part, we all just like come up with an idea, try and perfect it as much as we can on our own, and then bring it off towards everybody else and get their feedback and things like that.
Okay. Now, what do you want your viewers to feel when they watch your work?
Anything. If we're doing comedy, I want you to get the jokes, I want you to laugh. If we're doing a dramatic piece, I want you to cry. I want you to put your shoes your feet in the shoes of whatever character is going through whatever situation that we have.
What do you want your overall legacy to be?
It's kind of bad. I like the blueprint of what Tyler Perry did. I don't agree with all of the things that he actually does, but in terms of like business standpoint, I respect it. He made his own production company. He makes movies whether you think they're good or bad. He keeps actors in work. And he's built a legacy for himself, and I want something similar. I want to be able to have my production company help newer actors, newer directors, and stuff like that get their start, and to be able to cultivate that and be able to become a bridge between like the indie and student filmmakers, and be able to bridge them with like full-time networks and things like that. Be able to do that.
Okay. Can you give any word of advice to the younger kids out there who's trying to pursue acting, or maybe didn't think about acting until they seen this interview?
You got to create. Don't be afraid to take classes, even if you're talented and people have said you're talented. You got to still be open to take classes, learn from others, steal from others. Try and create your own work, because when certain things become slow, you can't just sit there and wait for the opportunity to come. Sometimes you have to create the opportunity, and the best way to improve in anything, whether it's a sport, education, anything, is by doing that. So if the roles aren't coming in as fast as you like, make the role yourself and then act out in it.
Great advice, thank you. Now I want to say a couple words, and you can say the first thing that comes to your head.
Okay.
Success.
Oh, I'm a troll, so you said that, and I was like, I need to think of something serious to say, and it just didn't work. I don't know, Spider-Man just came to my mind because I'm going to see that movie next week.
He's successful, He has a
it's horrible
multi-movie franchise.
Horrible answer, though.
Love.
Work.
Deceit.
Failure.
Violence.
Money.
Jesus. Legacy.
Wow. Drew a blank on that one. I have to say family. That's the next thing that came right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. I thought of that. Lamont Girdy.
Entrepreneur.
Nice. Well, this is Lord Thaumiel's The Podcast. Had Lamont Girdy.
Thank you for having me.
Movie producer, actor, amongst other things, and hopefully he'll come on again. I'll have all his information and all his links in the bottom of the comment video. Please like. You don't have to subscribe, and follow him. He's doing it. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Blessings and prosperities, and stay out of trouble. And the life you save might be your own. Thank you.
It's decent.